Long ago, we went mano-a-mano with the big fiery fly by using various wall methods. We then slapped her silly with dangerous amounts of purple hentai. Next came even more abuse as we cycled her damage phases for countless scales. And finally, we have continuously thrown rocks at her noggin until she was no more. And it's all been fun and good. But how about the power of munch, everyone? It is a method that I've used often myself, but I've never really shown you for whatever reason. So let's fix that. Now, I will be holding your hand a bit throughout this video, mostly for any beginners out there watching. However, I'm also not really going to go into too much detail either. But our bounty here today spawns in the Dragonfly Desert. So, find it, I suppose. Tumbleweeds and round cacti are gonna be your friends there. Bunnymen, on the other hand, spawn solely in the caves in villages or sometimes separate homes dotted throughout the caves. But if you're really looking, you should look within the grasslands. Or, whatever the equivalent of the grasslands are in the caves, as these biomes don't really have names. These do, however, and they too can be home to bunnymen. So don't count out green mush tree forests, folks. I can't help you with numbers, as I feel like I either get a ton of bunnymen or hardly at all, with no in between. However, I can give you some advice when it comes to actually collecting the ones you do get. And I'll be honest, it may not be as worthy as a tip as it once was, given the recent changes to a bunnyman's loot table. However, I'm going to suggest it regardless. Wait till daytime on the surface to potentially get a 2 fur per hutch hammered, everyone. In short, bunnymen return and remain in their homes during the day, and this allows us to handle them one at a time instead of all at once. Nowadays, I might honestly just ignore killing them actually, and simply just hammer their homes and skedaddle out of there. But the choice is yours. Know this though. Just about every 2 homes hammered by you equals 1 for you, so you best hope for some good numbers. So you got them. Good. However, there are still some things to do, so before we go building our own rabbit hutches from our Other Structures tab, we're going to be needing some walls, folks. A good number of walls, actually, and they will also have to be walls that don't burn either, like stone ones here. Stone walls come from cut stone via an alchemy engine, which come from normal rocks refined via a science machine. And of course, you only have to make them once to forgo any other machine for future crafts. But know this as well. A stack of cut stone equals 30 walls overall, and we're gonna need a pretty good set of walls. So get to mining. So now comes the fun bits, right? The building. And first things first, decide if you want to wall off each magma pool individually, or just bridge a wall between a couple as I'm about to do. I personally prefer the latter very much so over the former for this particular method, however each could work. Although just know that the former is going to require some better planning overall, as you will run the risk of having to deal with at least 1 larva each spawning phase for your first fight at least. But what we're actually doing, folks, changes not regardless of which method we choose. We are just simply eliminating larvae from the fight overall, and this wall method here does that by leaving 2 pools quote-unquote open and extending some walls past them in order to not only force the larva to path around them, but better yet, make the game think that the larva can actually get through said open gaps near these pools. The path of least resistance, as they say. That's what it boils down to. And trust me, you will see it in action and understand it way more in a minute here. But before we get there still, we got some more building to do. As next comes the construction of a little bunnyman choke point of sorts. You're going to want to wall off 2 separate pens of however many bunnymen you want to prevent them from targeting and following the larva that will be near these 2 pools above. Or else everything's just going to go to crap, they'll kill them, they'll get set on fire, it's a whole thing. It's not that difficult, and it should look something like this when you're done. And the gap between them should be about the length of 3 walls for the best results. Good luck. But speaking of gaps, be sure to damage a chosen section of your wall to serve as an entry and exit point for starting the fight. And you're also going to have to repair said section come her spawning phase to prevent any larvae from choosing this as their path of least resistance. So have some extra walls at the ready. Oh, and unless you hammer their hutches or bring loyal bunnies from elsewhere on your maps, you will be doing your fighting come dusk and night, as that's when the bunnies are outside. So don't forget some light either. You'll also be needing a pan flute as well. in case of her enraged mechanic, of course. So either find one near Glommer's statue, which unfortunately sometimes isn't there, but good thing that we can make our own via Prestidigitator as well, as you can see. But next would come weapons and armor choices. And all I'll say here is that while you will have help and increased DPS overall, going for the betters of either set of gear is still going to be advised. You're going after a big bad, of course. Large health pool, large damage. And you are still going to be very much involved in said fight. So choose wisely and choose marble in most cases. And finally, the healing. And the same bloody ideas apply, as everyone's playstyle is gonna vary. However, be very smart here. Any meat on you will draw the aggro of the Bunnymen. So you either pick an alternative or have an icebox nearby to put those meat healers in. Listen, you have a crap ton of options. Pick one and good luck. As yes, I've kept you long enough, so let's get to the fights. Run into the arena to gain Dragonfly's aggro. Run directly down the middle of your choke point or in whatever proper spot you need to get to in order for your bunnies to get as involved as they can. Switch to your own gear if needed and simply stand and deliver, everyone. Bunnymen deal 40 damage a bite, and also stand and deliver themselves. Plus, they attack really fast too. So even a small group of but 12 Bunnymen here is going to do absolute work. I'm also playing West, mind you. I went small on purpose to show you just how easy setting this up could be. But if you go for 24 Bunnymen, or even more, I think you get the bloody picture. Also, feel free to be a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if you can manage it for Beard Lords instead, for even more damage outputs. But the fight plays out all the same, really, everyone. She has a damage phase. She eventually flies back into her arena for her spawning phase after a while. The larvae try to pass by those two magma pools we've been highlighting throughout this video, as we've hopefully remembered, to repair the planned gap in the wall. She returns for more damage phasing. We keep a very close eye on her larva exploding during this time, as when the last one does, that's when she typically enrages, and thus we need to be ready to use the pan flute to calm her, and this just repeats until she's dead so. Now, this is not foolproof though. It is entirely possible she gets an angle to spawn larvae outside of your walls. That's unfortunate. You need to kill that thing fast before your Bunnymen start killing it and setting fires everywhere. I wouldn't worry too much about it as long as you did your walls properly, but it is a possibility for sure. And another thing to be well aware of, you're going to be dealing enough damage to maybe get her on the ground more often than not, meaning you won't actually see her enrage at all. I wouldn't trust that. Sometimes she pulls it out of her butt. However, don't be so itchy on your trigger finger. Just focus on the fight. Also, if you have hammered your rabbit hutches just to make sure your bunnies are always out and you happen to be fighting in the morning, your bunnies should still wake up and aggro onto her. Now, it's entirely possible that when you put them to sleep with the pan flute, if it comes to pass, they might not wake up, and that kind of sucks. But in my experience, they wake up, they still aggro, they still munch. All in all, good luck. Finish her off, and a whole mess of loot will be yours for the taking. So let's quickly discuss it. She'll drop scales that can go into scaled chests that will have 12 slots overall and never burn. We can turn those scales into scaled furnaces for constant heat, light, and a place to cook. Scale flooring slows the rate of fire spreading, while also being pivotal in Dragonfly scale farming overall with a deconstruction staff in hand. We will get a sketch to commemorate our victory over the fiery fly if we wish. Gems galore will drop for us, and plenty of meat to boot. Well done, everyone. Well, except the Weber and Wartox players, unfortunately. Yes, you guys are sadly barred from this method for obvious reasons. But one last note for everyone to take is this. Do not, I repeat, do not have meat in your inventory when dealing with these things. You'll thank me later. Good luck. And there you have it, everyone. Yet another way to clip the wings off the biggest, baddest bug around. Thanks for watching. Munch power for the win, and I'll see ya in the next one. Bye-bye.